Hi there everyone, it's Jaakko here. Recently I created this medieval wood texture with these metal bands, and I'd like to show you guys some of the tips and tricks that I find useful when creating these, and also some of the new nodes that I probably haven't covered before. So let's jump right in and take a look how this is made. So this is the graph, and it's pretty simple. There's really nothing really special trickery. But before we get started, I'd like to show you guys how we can set up the viewport, because this is actually something that I get asked sometimes when people buy my substances in my Gumroad, and then they send me angry email and say that, okay, I bought your substance and it doesn't look anything like what it does in your preview renders, and basically it's just they insert their favorite swear word. So I'd like to kind of help you guys out that how we can set this up in the preview so you can kind of see what you're doing. So the way how substances work basically is that when you publish your SPSR and your SPS file, you just probably normally try to keep everything relative to the parent, and this is sort of a little bit difficult concept to grasp, but the default way how substance basically works is that every node is set to relative parent, so it gets the resolution from the parent nodes, and this allows much more faster node computation, and it just allows everything to work properly. Every SPSR that you publish should be relative to parent. That's just, there's no way we would be using absolute values unless there are some special cases. So you can actually go in here and put some specific values to some nodes. If you have some nodes that require a higher resolution calculation at all times, then you can come here and set absolute for those nodes. But the main graph here, if I'm just going to go in here, I always just keep it relative to parent, and that's so actually when you open up that what you're seeing, this pixelated mess here, this is actually the correct way how it should work. So I'm just gonna, for the preview purposes, I'm just gonna set this to absolute. So if you guys wanna preview it here in the Substance Designer or do some iRay renders here, please go in here and just set it to absolute, and then just go like, I don't know, 4K maybe, and then this will calculate the high resolution just to properly the nodes. So this now we are looking way better, right? And the other question, it seems that some people have a difficulty of understanding how height works. So you can see that these actually are really protruding. So these shapes here are actually really the geometry is displaced, and it's actually real displacement that's going on here. So if you go to wait a minute, if you go to materials, you go to edit, you can see we have like definitions here. We have two definitions for physically based metallic roughness. So we have parallax occlusion and we have tessellation, and this parallax occlusion means that it's a sort of a trickery. It's not really displacement. If you go like here, you can see that nothing is really protruding from here, so the mesh isn't really tessellated and displaced, but it's sort of a visual trickery. So you can, it looks pretty nice. You can see that it looks like 3D. It looks like, yeah, it's like really actually something is coming, but nothing is. So this is probably a more faster way to compute, but you don't get real displacement. But then if you go in here and go to definitions and select tessellation, then you can see that now we are really tessellating the mesh, we are subdividing the mesh, and then we are using height to really just change the shape like so, that we are getting a real displacement. And you can choose your tessellation factor in here. So if you have a slower computer, you probably need to keep it in low values here, but if you have a more powerful, you can go like pretty high and then just get like super high. So then you need to adjust the scale, so we can just come up with some value, like something like this usually works pretty fine. So you don't need to go like all weird like so. So basically this is how you set up the renders, and then you go to iRay, you have a little bit different settings. So the iRay renderer has some of the settings are in scene. Actually, if you go to scene, you need to come in here and then set your subdivision in the scene settings, not in the material. I don't know why this is so, but now using the parametric method, so we are subdividing it like so. trying not to go too wild here because computer will crash. So I'm just going to do it like that, and then go to materials and edit. And these materials are also a little bit different in iRay, so I'm just gonna go like so, and then I'm just gonna adjust the height again, like I don't know, maybe 1.5 might actually work for us. So yes, no, now we are getting like a real height information here, but I don't know, for some reason it doesn't still look exactly like. I'm just gonna do maybe 2, yeah, something like this would be better. So now we are getting a nicer result. So yes, so I'm just gonna jump back into OpenGL because it works a little bit faster and we can see something in here. So it's, yeah, pretty much the normal stuff. You can see that I have actually another node here. We have this pixel shift node, and this is one of the nodes that I created, and this is you can download this for free in my Gumroad, so do that. And I'm just setting the outputs computation to no in here because we don't need we don't want this to be output in our SPSR file, so it's not necessary. I'm just going to no, and we're just using this as a part of this graph as a sort of a sub graph with inputs. So what this does, this pixel shift does, is this is actually something that I've explained in my earlier wood planks video, but I'm just gonna mention this again. So we have this pixel shift in here, and what this does is that it takes some grayscale values such as this, and then it offsets the texture in horizontal axis. So you can see that we have like that, and then we are just adjusting this offset, and it's just taking this as an input value, and then we don't get the same texture on planks next to each other. So we are able to offset it, like the wood planks obviously are created from different pieces of the wood, so we don't get like so that this, for example, this, you can see this sort of a circular shape, so this doesn't flow to this one because, yeah, you know, because of that. So this is one of the things that I do, so definitely grab this pixel shift from my Gumroad for free, so then you can just use this. And then one of the things that I probably didn't mention before, I haven't probably covered, is one of the new nodes in later versions. Let's say, like, I don't know, probably like it came like 1 year ago or something, I'm not quite sure, but we have this height blend in here. So if you have two height maps, I have actually this height map, which is those planks, and then I have this height map, which is those stripes, those metal bands, and I want to blend them together. So if you were to blend this using just normal blend node, it would be really difficult because you would get all kinds of bleeding or all kinds of, so it would be very difficult to balance those values properly, so that you get this sort of a result that we have at least darker values in here, higher values in here, so we're able to drive the height by using this. So using the blend nodes, that's gonna be really difficult. I've just struggled with that in the past so much, but we have this height blend node, and this is just brilliant. It's just, you just input two height maps and it will blend those together using sort of a logic that wider values are going to be higher points in the height map and so on. So this automatically balances those values and gives you just a brilliant, perfect result every time. So definitely please use height blend. If you're blending height maps, come on, please use this. This is available for you guys. So then we have this HBAO. So this is just the ambient occlusion, which I'm just creating directly from the height, and we're able to get this, and then I'm just using just the normal stuff. So I mean, this wood pattern, this isn't really anything special, so I'm just using one of these bell in here, and then using transformation to squish it a little bit, and then using the mirror grayscale to give it sort of this more pointy type of a thing in here, and then using tile random to tile it like so, and using some gradient maps like so, and then warp that with Berlin noise, and directionally warp it using directional noise in here, and then creating some more. I'm just using these kind of stripes using a square, and then just style that, and then again warp that using this directional noise. So I'm just using warp like so. We are getting this type of a result, and then I'm just blending it in here, so we are getting those stripes like so. So again, we have like a picture shift in here now. That this does what I explained earlier, and then this just comes in. So the metal bands are again really simple. I'm just using this as a base, and then I'm using a bevel to give it that type of a shape, and then just tile it with tile generator, and then using a mirror to do it like so that those are symmetrical like so, and using levels and so on, and then these again just blend that with these. So these are actually just a square tiling square and then yeah, just bevel, give it a little bit this kind of a bevel here, so you can see that bevel happening there and so on, and then just blending those together like that, and then creating the normal map in that way and putting some noise into that so that it has a little bit this kind of a wear effect. So this is just basically height normal blend node in here like so, and yeah, nothing really tricky, nothing really special. It's just the same stuff that you guys have seen in my previous videos probably. So yeah, I've actually blended just a tiny little bit of this ambient occlusion in here, because the wood, I gather that I thought that the wood sort of gathers this moisture in if you have something touching the wood, then the moisture will gather in those areas and cause that darken up a little bit. So normally in PBR workflow you should avoid multiplying ambient occlusion to your diffuse map, because actually the engine will do it for you. So if you have a proper ambient occlusion map, then just use that and input that into ambient occlusion channel instead of just putting it. So definitely, if you are coming from traditional texture workflow where you're using diffuse maps with lighting information baked in them and so on, just try not to put any lighting information. This is just the simple color values for each pixel. So that's the way how it should be done nowadays when we are dealing with modern physically based materials. So yeah, again, the roughness is just very simple. I actually haven't put much detail on those. I could actually come here and put more details on those worn edges and so on. So that would be actually something that we could do. So maybe we could try to do that. So I'm just gonna check mine. So I have this edge notch in here. So one way we could do this, I could maybe select this node in here and hit space and do blend, and then I could just take this and input into that, and now we can see that it's wrong, because yeah, we don't want this obviously. So what we want to do is that we want to subtract, we want to take these white values, and then we want to subtract it from, because maybe we want those to be more shiny. So those worn edges are exposing the bare metal underneath, and then it's gonna be more shiny. So maybe we could try to do that. So we could just come here and do like subtract and see what happens. So now we are already getting like this side of a result, but this still isn't really exactly, it's too much and not really very nice. So maybe this could be a little bit nicer. So now we can see we have those are now like popping up more, those worn edges, that the metal that is yeah, worn on it's gonna like pop a little bit more. You can see that shining through like that. So this is one of the examples that you can come and change these materials as you like. So yeah, I don't know, it looks, the final result looks pretty decent to me. I think this is something that we could use, and then the guys that if game studio will use this and they just want to use the wood, for example, it's not too difficult to come here and just grab and delete those metal bands and so on. Of course, this all could be exposed. So what I could do is, of course, I could expose, put a button in here and say that do you want metal bands or not, or do you want those wood planks or not. That's again not difficult to do at all in Substance. So that's something that I might actually look into doing at some point with this material. But for now, this is just a simple graph that outputs exactly this and so on. So it depends sort of it depends on the material. In some materials like when I can really guess that how the studio will use that. So if the art director tells me that okay, we want these parameters to be exposed so that we can adjust those for example, the amount of blanks in here or things like that, then if I'm getting instructions to do that, then of course I will just do it as I'm told. But when I'm in this position, I have to kind of guess that's how people are going to use this. Then I'm just sometimes exposing some values when I think that people maybe want to adjust, for example, a roughness or albedo values of that or something like that. Then I'm just going to expose that, and if you're using like Marble Set Toolpack to preview your substances, you have those options, so you can actually come here into extra and you can just load up substance in here in this way and then get all those exposed parameters as sliders and as a sort of numeric inputs. So you're going to be able to adjust those when you are doing the previews in Marble Set Toolpack. So yes, I don't know what else to say about this. I hope you guys enjoy this little I don't know if you can call this a tutorial. I'm sort of these days I just I feel like it's sort of because I already covered this so many times how we can come up with something like this. So you just take this one shape and then you adjust the shape and so on. So it's just all the time just the same stuff. So I've done this so many times, so I think you guys can probably figure it out. Like this, we have the slow blur grayscale in here, and what this does is that I'm just taking a bunch of these crystal shapes in here and then blending them with directional warp. I'm sorry, warping them with this, and then I'm just using levels in here. Sorry, actually this is wrong. I'm actually I'm just blending it with this. So I'm just taking these, adjusting those levels, so we are getting those dark edges, so we don't get anything on those areas, because then that would mess up those grooves on between those planks. So then I'm just gonna be able to slow blur grayscale and using these as an input. So then we are getting those edge damages on those. So you could also adjust the scale pretty easily in here if you just select this and then maybe make it bigger, like reducing the scale. So now we are getting way bigger effects. You can actually see, maybe I'm gonna just increase this. So yeah, like that, you can see that now we are able to adjust the scale of those edge damages and so on. So just a little example. So yes, I hope this makes some sense. I hope you get something out of this. One more thing is that the way how I did those, you can see that we have those sort of I don't know how to describe damages. So what I've done here is just using a shape and then doing a tile generator in here and getting this sort of effect, and then using the directional warp a little bit, and then I'm using transformation 2D. Just I don't know actually why I did this. Probably we don't need it. I'm just gonna bypass that, like so. And then what I'm doing in here is that I'm using non-uniform blur grayscale, and I'm taking this directional noise in here, and then I'm just dragging this like so we are able to get this type of effect. So this non-uniform blur grayscale is just absolutely brilliant. It allows us to blur sort of some areas and give this sort of watercolor type of effect, which is just very useful for me. I'm just loving this, one of my favorite nodes. So then I'm having this blur HK. I'm just gonna actually, again, I'm not doing anything with this. I could actually bypass that. So I'm just gonna shift click this and I'm gonna drag those, so we'll be able to reconnect those. So now we have that, and so what this does is that it gives us those sort of like, I don't know, some of those areas that are damaged in the wood, like so. So you can see those areas like that. So yeah, the rest of the stuff is just normal stuff, blending things together and using gradient maps to create the values for our albedo and so on. So yes, this is it. I'm gonna wrap it up, and I hope you guys find this useful. And if you have some questions, just leave it to the comments, or you can just email me, whichever you like. But if you have a problem with some of my substances that I'm selling, just please send me directly email. Like, please don't look me up in social media and then try to harass me. I don't, react to that type of behavior. So if you want to get some kind of like input from me, just please email me directly. All right. So this was Jaakko. I hope you guys have a great holidays and happy New Year. So see you guys. Bye bye.